In learning French for an English speaker is pretty easy given 44% of the words are the same in both languages, but the pronunciation is different. La prononciation est différente. The letters are much the same, although the French have a couple of notable ones. The E with the line going downward is grave, and it usually means a missing letter, but doesn't change the pronunciation. Usually the missing letter is the word in English that has a missing S. Entrée, interest. The E with a rising mark is called aigu, not a gu, that means sewer, but aigu, which is sharp, and that is often used in past tense and is pronounced differently as a longer A sound. The I with two dots is rare in French. The O with the circumflex, as well as the I with the circumflex, that's the little carrot roof hat, if you will, doesn't change the pronunciation, but it usually means a missing letter. Often in the case of the O, a missing S, such as hôte, host. And you get the cedilla, that's the C with a little line underneath, making it look like an S, hence it's pronounced like an S. An agreement in year 900 kept the northern pronunciation of French, but the southern spelling of the French, hence various dialects and why it's sometimes sung with the southern spelling version. The last letter is almost never pronounced except going into another word that starts with a vowel, just like our an other becomes another. And exceptions to this are words ending in us, terminus, campus, and the word repas, which means the word meal. This liaison, this connection, exists also in Portuguese. Exceptions to that rule in French is it does not apply to proper names. You pronounce them separately. Punctuation rules are roughly the same, with the notable exception that the adjectival form of proper names, like say American, German, Allemand, Allemande, are not capitalized, but when used as nouns are. French, being one of the four notable Romance languages, is similar to Spanish in their grammar rules, very similar, noting that Italian and Portuguese differ from Spanish and French in that they contract both masculine and feminine words. French and Spanish only contract masculine words. The Portuguese and Italian decline prepositions, which the French and Spanish do not, and the French and Spanish do not keep the definite article, as does the Portuguese and the Italian. A couple of little tricks: if you know the word in one language, it's probably similar to the others. If it's P-I or G-L-I in Italian, then it's probably L in French. Glace, plat, and becomes L likewise in Spanish, but in Portuguese is an R. Well, French has boy words and girl words in all cases for the third person and for plurals, and if they don't exist, they'll make one up. Well, French word order is much the same as is for most Romance languages, where the adjective follows the noun and the indirect pronoun precedes the verb. Thus, a literal translation might be, say, I, him, gave the book black. Or, je le donne le livre noir. So we started with the hard stuff. I think that's a better way to learn, n'est-ce pas? And so now let's get familiar with some of the basics. I, you, he, she, it, them, whatever. And so we're going to start with je, or J apostrophe if you're following with a verb that starts with an A, such as j'ai, I have. And then tu, informal. And then you have il, that's a guy. Elle, there's a lady. A bunch of the guys, il, don't pronounce the S unless it comes into another vowel, remember that? And elle, again, follows with an S if it goes into another vowel. Now let's line them up with the verbs. So I, je, the verbal end in E, usually not pronounced. If it's us plural, then it's O-N-S. The S is usually not pronounced unless it goes into a vowel. You, to, E-S, again, maybe the S will occur before a vowel. And vous, E-Z, you never pronounce the E-Z. And then you have endings with E, usually not pronounced for the third person. And E-N-T for the plural, spelled differently, that's never pronounced. So let's try the verb to speak. Je parle. Don't pronounce the E. Nous parlons. Tu parles. Don't pronounce that S unless it was before another vowel. Vous parlez. Don't pronounce that Z. You know the rule. Il parle. Elle parle. Watch it. Il parle. Elle parle. Notice we didn't pronounce the S in those cases for the plural, and the ENT is never pronounced. It's only written different. The articles are le, la, les, don't pronounce the S, and you're going to have one of them masculine, just like a guy, in, just like a lady, and de, if it's, don't pronounce the S, if it's plural. French, more than other languages, will have you pronounce the masculine word as though you're a man and the feminine word as though you're a lady. Often there is exceptions, but generally if the word ends in M-E-N-T, it's masculine. An exception found throughout all Romance languages ending in A-M-E, programme, is masculine, le programme. Words ending in T-I-O-N, direction, in some many cases, E are pronounced as though it's feminine. Follows the same with regard to the plurals. Again, not pronouncing the S unless it goes into another vowel. Adjectives generally follow nouns in French, and you can add an E for the feminine and also an S if it's plural. Big exception is the masculine for the plural. If it's an AL word, it becomes E-A-U-X, but is pronounced O. Let's do an example. The capital men, meaning dealing with money. L'homme de capital, les hommes de capitaux, les femmes de capital, la femme de capital. By the way, if you're talking about capitals like in cities, then it remains al, ALS. Now, often what comes next in French, as in other Romance language, is the direct pronoun, unlike English. So, me, us, you, him, her, them, are me, or M with an apostrophe if you can take it into a vowel. Nous, te, or te, like je t'aime. You're getting it now. Vous, le, or starts with a vowel. You can just put an L in front of it. And E is what you use for there. Then there's la, or starts with a vowel, just L apostrophe. And then all the plurals just become les. Let's do an example. I give you a book. Je te donne un livre. Here's another. The car is pretty. We're going to use two different versions of the words car. Masculine. Le véhicule est beau. La voiture est belle. Let's do the prepositions. De, a, those little accent marks to separate it from the past tense of to have. Then you have avec, dans, sur, pour. That's of, at, with, in, upon, for. In the masculine plurals, you get the contractions of not de, le, but du. Not at, the, but au. And in the plural, it's de, of the, or of them, au. So now let's do the pronouns following a preposition. Moi, nous, toi, vous, lui, leur. For me, for us, for you formal, for him, and for her, and for them. There are, of course, a lot of exceptions. Just like in English, you don't say I are or I be, but I am. Same thing's true in French, with a lot of these so-called conjugations for the verbs ending in AI for the first person. The simplest is j'ai, J apostrophe AI, I have. Another notable one is, instead of saying, if you look on the chart here, it should seem to be vous disiez, you say. No. It turns out it's vous dites. It's an exception. The subtlety of French pronunciation becomes clear when you realize that there's a difference between ils ont and ils sont. Ils ont, sounding like a Z, is they have. Ils sont, double S, is they are. Another example is dessert and désert. With a single S sounding like a Z, that's to leave. Double S, it's dessert. And the subtleties of French pronunciation are profound in the verbs. Let's do a bunch of examples. Au-dessus, above. Au-dessous, below. Aigu, sharp. Aigu, sewer. Let's do some more. Rue is a street. Roue is a wheel. Coup is a hit or a shot. And cul is a person's butt. And finally, we start to wrap up because, gosh, there's always more. Generally, words that are subtly different are pronounced feminine, masculine. Take the word noir, masculine. Noir, feminine. Ce, this. Cette, this, feminine. Donc, thus. J'espère, I hope. J'ai fait, I have done. Une leçon spéciale pour toi. A special lesson for you.